Thank you. Okay. So actually, it's really nice to see you all here in in offline conference, because I don't know, the last 2 years having online conference were really convenient to just stay at home and still communicate. But one problem that I noticed, I didn't get as much feedback. So I didn't see the faces. I didn't see what, like, are you agree with what I'm saying or disagree, or like you don't react. That's why the topic I'm going to talk about is something that I'm actively working on. That's why your feedback is really would be really appreciated. So feel free to try to express it. Let's have it kind of conversation. So yeah, my name is Sergii Ivashchenko. I'm a software developer in Adobe, and last couple of quarters I have been working on the upgrade experiences for developers. Let's say trying to improve upgrade experience inside the company, changing the processes we are using or adjusting the processes so that we make less breaking changes in Magento, as well as trying to provide some tools that will help to make upgrades more easier. And upgrades have been always an actual topic in Magento community, because Magento, Adobe Commerce, it's such a customizable tool. There are lots of possibilities to customize it. The ways it was designed to be customized and extended, and the ways it wasn't designed. That's why there are lots of possible ways to, let's say, use the functionality that was changed in the new version, and we didn't expect, for example, for somebody to use it. Also, let's take a look on this timeline. I hope you see the dates. No? Okay. Then I will. Basically, recently, version 2.4.4 has been released. This is a timeline of releases and, what's more important, end of service dates. 2.4.4 has been released at the end of the summer. We are expecting version 2.4.5. But what's more important for us is that there is end of service for 2.3 and 2.4 versions up to 2.3.4 coming this autumn. That means that it's highly recommended to update your instances to version 2.4.4 to keep getting the support, to keep getting patch upgrades and stuff like that. Based on this, I guess if you are not working on upgrades at the moment, it's time to at least start preparing for it, because probably there is lots of upgrade work coming on. To understand how to make upgrades easier and safer, let's first try to understand what the scope of upgrade, what's the scope of this work. And I have a theory. Let's see if it's correct. So to be able to upgrade, well, upgrade basically is kind of simple from development point of view, right? Just Composer require new version, Composer update, you upgrade. Is it? The other thing is, like, are you ready for the upgrade? Is the project ready? If it's ready, yeah, it's just Composer update. Come on, you have the new version. But the biggest challenge is to make it ready, to prepare for the upgrade. Usually that's kind of an upgrade activity as well, but that can be done even before. And the theory is that if your project is compatible with the platform that is required by the new Adobe Commerce version, for example, new PHP version, Elasticsearch, whatever, any infrastructure, if all the extensions are compatible and all the customizations are compatible, then you are ready to upgrade. By the way, you may think that extensions and customizations are basically the same thing, but I separated them just because, by extensions I mean those are extensions provided by you by vendors, No, you can get them from marketplace or marketplaces of the vendors, and customization is something that was developed specifically for specific projects. And the interesting thing about extensions is that the project has to be compatible with the new Adobe Commerce code, and it has to be compatible with the new versions of extensions as well. Recently, there was a new policy introduced to Marketplace that all the extensions has to be compatible with new Adobe Commerce, has to release the compatible versions with new Adobe Commerce within the 30 days of the Adobe Commerce release. So probably you'll have the new extensions available, but if somehow the code specific to the project depends on the extensions, making the customization compatible with the extensions as well as Adobe Commerce is also part of the job. The question here is that's everything? Did I miss something? What did I miss?
Supporting services, like Elasticsearch and Flash.
Yeah. So services, I think that's part of the platform.
What's Teams?
Teams?
Infrastructure.
Oh, infrastructure also. So platform. So extensions, customizations is code, and infrastructure and let's say
data.
Platform dependencies are part of the platform. Yeah, that's a good one. Data is something that probably is delivered by extensions, right? So if the database is changed, well, yeah, this is the work that needs to be estimated. Yeah?
Can I ask a question? So I'm not really that technical. I'm here as an imposter. Just for the uninitiated, is there a technical, I understand the commercial difference between an extension in the marketplace and a home customization. Is there a technical difference, or are all customizations effectively written in the same way as extensions?
So I guess from this model that I prepared, there is no difference. You can have extension module, you can have customization module extension that is theme, let's say, and customization that is theme as well. However, so technically they are the same. I have separated them just to stress that compatibility with extensions may also require some work, so we need to consider it.
There's no way you can customize your Magento instance other than by creating an extension internally. You can't go in and change the code in any other way, or can you?
You mean, well, you have to provide some kind of extension. Technically, you can modify the Magento instance, but that's not. We will not even discuss that.
So, from my point of view, the question is always, like the Irishman asking for directions, is you need to be in the right place to start with, right? You need to be in a place where you've got a good. You haven't done things.
Exactly.
You should have done.
Exactly.
So you're making it much more difficult for yourself.
Very good point. Really good point. So the thing that I will talk about later during this presentation is actually how to get to this point that will resolve lots of challenges with the upgrade. But first, okay, just to get a little bit more understanding, the platform, I guess, like infrastructure is compatibility with specific infrastructure is a very specific thing that depends on each tool, each library that we are supporting. So I would like just to skip the platform because it's very hard to generalize it and focus on extensions and customizations and actually code that depends on Magento. So let's take a look closer on what compatibility means for extensions, customizations for any code that you write for Magento. And compatibility, so potential compatibility problems can be in the areas that are described here. So there are lots of code written for Magento and custom project that is not using the API of Magento, that is working around the API using the code that is not marked as API. And the problem with this is, first of all, Adobe Commerce cannot guarantee that this code will not change or will not be removed in the next release. And also, another issue with this is that if you are using the code that is not marked as API, there might be another approach to the same functionality. So, for example, if you are trying to add some functionality to, let's say, adding product to cart using non-API entry points, some other extensions may want to control everything that happens when you add product to cart, but it doesn't know where to, it will not know how to track your customization. And that comes to the problems with compatibility, not only with Adobe Commerce, but between the extensions. So after upgrade, your project may work fine, but after installation of additional extension, you'll have more problems. So that's conflicts between extensions. With usage of deprecated code, so let's say there is an API, but it's deprecated. It's actually, well, there is one less problem. We are not changing we are like 99%, we are trying not to change API code unless there is really no choice. So you don't need to be worrying about changing API code. However, as it's marked deprecated, it's going to be removed. And that's what deprecated means. So probably that code will be removed. And if there is an API that is marked deprecated, there is much, much higher risk that there is an alternative API that is used by other extensions, used by other customizations, and again, that can bring the custom code or your extensions to the conflict with other extension. When you are using the deprecated API, other extension is adding their plugin to the alternative, not deprecated API, and that way something that was supposed to be done by the plugin that is put to the correct class marked as API is not triggered by your custom functionality that is working with non-API. And yeah, sometimes there is a need to remove even the API code. For example, for 2.4.4, we added the support for PHP 8.0, and we had some classes named match in Magento, right? And match is a reserved word in PHP 8, so we cannot go with this class name. We cannot just use it on PHP 8, so we had to remove this API. And that happens as well, but these are really limited situations, and we are trying to communicate about such changes early and widely. However, that can happen, and we should also consider this. And the last one is overrides, mostly related to templates. So maybe configuration as well, so overrides is also something to consider. Now, basically, you can review all these things, all this area of compatibility problems, and decide if something needs to be changed during the upgrades, find the issues. However, there are lots of tools available that are developed inside Adobe and outside of Adobe as well, that are helping with upgrades. And I would like to walk you through these tools just to understand what you can use to identify the issues, that's more importantly, and then fix them. The first one is an upgrade compatibility tool. Can you raise your hand if you have tried it? Okay. A little bit. So upgrade compatibility tool is currently in the active development. I'm participating in the development of this tool, and it already does a lot for identification of all these areas that I have mentioned. So upgrade compatibility tool is the command line tool that basically can be run against the project of any older version of Magento and identify the issues of compatibility with the latest version or with any version. Actually, it works for any versions starting from 2.3.0 and up to the latest version of Magento. Also, the compatibility check with upgrade compatibility tool can be released even earlier than the release of the Magento. Actually, that's what happened in 2.4.4. So for 2.4.4, UCT could be executed 1 or 2 weeks earlier than the actual J release of 2.4.4 version. And as a result, you get list of issues that once they are fixed, you can say that the project is ready. The project is ready for the upgrade. At the moment, that's not completely true, because upgrade compatibility tool works at the moment only with the PHP files and XML files. XML support was added quite recently. However, there is work going on to support templates as well, and that will, I believe, that will add a lot, because lots of problems are to merge the templates. However, there is another tool I will talk about later that can help with the templates for upgrades. What UCT actually identifies, it's removed code that is referenced, that handles even if API is removed and you have been using it, UCT will output it and show it to you. It's reporting all non-API usages that can lead to the problems, like the code may be removed not in your target release, but in the next release anyway. And even if the code is not removed, the behavior can change. So that's really hard to notice when the behavior is changing, code is still there, and you can have some bugs on your website discovered later. So all non-API usages, deprecated code usages, especially it's important to pay attention to deprecated API usages and replace it with the suggestions that are also provided in the code. And we have supplemented it with some important static tests from Magento coding standard that are checking for compatibility, compatibility with Adobe Commerce and with the libraries that we are changing. Like, for example, there are checks for compatibility with new jQuery version that is included in 2.4.4. Checks for compatibility with new tiny MCE implementation, stuff like that. And even some checks for compatibility with new platform things, like with new PHP version, and so on. And as a result of running the tool, you can get outputs or results of 3 types. First, you are getting the command line instant just list of issues. Then there is a JSON output that is useful to integrate UCT into CI/CD. And at the end, there is an HTML result that is providing a couple of diagrams that are really nice to see for not so technical people, I guess, and also provides easy navigation across the issues, right? Much easier than scrolling the command line or trying to read JSON. So human readable type of the result. And in addition to that, UCT is not just about the upgrades compatibility. However, there are a couple of additional commands that will help you to check the GraphQL compatibility, the differences between 2 GraphQL entry points. There is a separate command that checks the core integrity, checks if some of the core files are modified, or if so it can output even the differences between the packages of the vanilla dependencies, composer packages of the vanilla Magento version and your project, in case there might be some compatibility problems with third-party libraries. And also I would like to mention that if you have used upgrade compatibility tool already, I would encourage you to play with the options. Because lots of time when I talk with somebody who have used upgrade compatibility tool, they say it provides just too many issues, like too many non-API code used, too many deprecated code used. There are different levels of errors, and also, so there are some interesting options to filter the output and get exactly what you need. So try to play with it. One additional tool that's not directly related to upgrades, but it's used by upgrade compatibility tool, and it contains some compatibility checks, as well as other checks, is Magento Coding Standard. It's a really easy tool to use. It's just a collection set of sniffs for PHP-CS. It contains rector and ESLint checks as well that you can run during the development, run on the CI/CD, or execute to evaluate project in general. And one more tool that I would like to mention, also not directly related to the upgrades, but it provides excellent monitoring and also the tool that evolves quickly. That's site-wide analysis tool. SWAT. It can be, previously it could be installed only on cloud. Right now it's available on cloud on-premise. By the way, who is using site-wide analysis tool? Okay, even less than UCT. An upgrade compatibility tool, really useful tool. It's free, so free to use. Check it out. And the way I am mentioning it, so site-wide analysis tool is kind of a module and an agent that you can install on your instance, and it can provide you the statistics of the characteristics of your project, statistics of usage, and as well recommendations on how to improve performance, how to resolve the issues, as well as recently upgrade compatibility tool was added dashboard of site-wide analysis tool, so you can get the compatibility reports as well. Site-wide analysis tool is something that I know Adobe Commerce support guys are using for their investigations, and they're trying to improve the tool as well. I heard there should be somewhere Roberto and Rimam from. Oh, yeah. So those guys can tell you even more about site-wide analysis tool if you are interested. And finally, how many of you are using PHP Storm? Oh, that's great. That's great. So there is Magento PHP Storm plugin. How many of you are using Magento PHP Storm plugin? A little bit less. Well, I guess Magento PHP Storm plugin is such a nice tool that everybody who is using PHP Storm for development should use Magento PHP Storm plugin. That's a completely open source project that is developed by community. So Adobe Commerce doesn't really participate too much in the development, so that's developers from the community are developing that and doing it as good for developers as they can. They're using it themselves, and they're providing all the best features. Magento PHP Storm plugin contains lots of functionality on code generation, code navigation between XML and like using Magento DI-XML, connecting it to the code and vice versa, generates lots of entities from scratch. And also it does lots of validation of your code, highlighting any inconsistencies during the development. And recently we have added the upgrade compatibility functionality to PHP Storm plugin. So you can enable Magento PHP Storm plugin, enable compatibility checks, and even though you are working on the project version 2.3.7, for example, you can set that sometime in the future you would like to upgrade to version 2.4.3 or 2.4.4, that's your choice. And during the development, if you will try to use the class that is deprecated in version 2.4.4, it will be highlighted for you with appropriate message, even though it's not deprecated in your code base. So that works like magic, really. And for sure, this is implemented via the code inspection, so you can analyze the whole project, just use it as standard PHP Storm code inspections. By the way, the implementation of upgrade compatibility tool and the same functionality in PHP Storm plugin is different. So it works a little bit differently, and actually the community went forward with the development of functionality for PHP Storm plugin. So there is a little bit different coverage. Actually, I guess the Magento PHP Storm plugin is covering even a little bit more than upgrade compatibility tool at the moment. Although it cannot generate such nice reports as upgrade compatibility tool can. And so the results, as I mentioned, the result that you can get for compatibility extensions with PHP Storm plugin are the same as the results for any PHP Storm code inspections, although there is a custom text report in UCT format. It's just easier to share it. You cannot really get a nice code inspections report that can be sent to somewhere for analysis or for evaluation of all the project. Finally, to top up all these tools, there is a tool developed by Ampersand. Is there anybody from Ampersand here? Yeah? Oh, nice. So Ampersand Upgrade Patch Helper is a great tool that is covering the functionality that is not entirely covered by the tools I previously mentioned. So Upgrade Patch Helper is the tool that can be executed on the patch generated from two different, from the original project and upgraded project, and it can provide you all the places that you need to check to understand if there are some issues. So it analyzes the differences between two Magento versions, finds all the files that have been modified, and if you are referring to those files, these references will be highlighted for you to, because it's important to check that. That includes preferences, plugins, templates, basically all theme files, JS files, and so on. And there is a nice feature, it can merge templates that are overridden for you automatically, if there are no conflicts, for sure. The result of running the Ampersand Upgrade Patch Helper look like this, just a table with the file that was modified on the Magento site and place where you reference this file. So, in summary, the earlier we start to prepare for upgrades, the earlier we think about the quality of our project and the compatibility. Let's call it forward compatibility with the, although that's forward compatibility with, with the next Adobe Commerce version, the easier it will be to upgrade. And you can do this by using the compatibility, just enabling the compatibility functionality from Magento PHP Storm plugin in the PHP Storm. It doesn't cost you anything. It will just provide you some additional useful information as you develop. Maybe also enabling Magento coding standard, PHP CS, ESLint, and maybe Rector rules also can be run in IDE, like as you develop, or can be run on, can be executed manually whenever you need to check the code. For CI/CD, you can use Upgrade Compatibility tool, actually, even though the project can have lots of the code that is not API, you can filter, you can display only critical issues for the CI/CD, just to ensure that the classes that have been removed in the future versions are not used. Magento coding standard, so the thing about Magento coding standard, not everybody likes the same code style as Magento developers do, as like Adobe developers do. And other community members that also participated in the development of Magento coding standard, because that's actually a community project as well. However, there is a way to customize it. So there is default rule set that is provided with the project, but it's easy to customize it, remove the rules you don't like, and maybe even add more rules that you would like for your project. But basically, adjusting Magento coding standards and writing Magento coding standards on CI/CD will will help you to ensure there is less security problems, less compatibility problems, and establish the control over the code style. That is also like actively developed by community, updated. So from time to time, you can get new useful rules from the Magento coding standard. Install site-wide analysis tools to the instance. Take a look on the monitoring. I believe you will like it. And finally, when it comes to the actual upgrade, to save time on identification of the issues, just run upgrade compatibility tool. It will display all the problems with the code usages. When it comes to actual upgrade, you can filter the report of UCT only to the critical issues if there are time constraints, and there is no way to approach all other issues. However, I would really recommend to try to resolve most of them or all of them, because using non-API code and deprecated code doesn't straight away break the system, but it is kind of risky. It is risky for the reasons I described before: conflicts with other extensions, potential change of behavior on the Adobe Commerce side. And ampersand upgrade patch helper will help you to work with templates, themes, and identify all the possible areas of risk in the XML preferences plugins. Finally, giving you the links to all the tools I mentioned. And if you, after the presentation, by the way, I have all the tools installed on my laptop, so if you would like to take a closer look or discuss something, just catch me, and I will show you the tools in action, and we can play with it, we can discuss it. If you will have the questions later on, after trying the tools, there is Magento open source Slack channel, the link to join Slack workspace. There is the link to join the workspace, and there are 3 channels in that workspace. That's upgrade compatibility tool, PHP Storm plugin, and coding standard. So all the channels are related to corresponding tools. And finally, I'm open for questions.
Unfortunately, I think we don't have time for questions. So feel free to find Sergii after the presentation and speak to him directly.
Okay, yeah. Then looking forward to chat with you. And thank you.